I drink Dr. Pepper, don't you see? 'Cause it's the perfect taste for me. That original taste, you know, is making peppers everywhere I go.
Dr. Pepper has been around for a long time, and with its unique blend of 23 different flavors, it has become the choice beverage for a lot of people. But is drinking it out of a can really the perfect way to consume this beverage? That's what we're going to find out today. We're going to figure out what is the best way to consume Dr. Pepper. So, the entire reason I'm even making this video is because I stumbled across this old Reddit comment that claimed to know the perfect way of consuming Dr. Pepper. Now, personally, I'm more of a Pib Extra guy myself. Nothing wrong with Dr. Pepper, it just doesn't give me that wow factor that Pib Extra does. And to be fair, Pib, in my opinion, is the more honest beverage, because right here on the label it says it is an artificially flavored spicy cherry soda. Spicy cherry. Now on the Dr. Pepper can, from what I can tell, there is no such label claiming that Dr. Pepper is a spicy cherry soda, but it is a spicy cherry soda. In case you didn't know, every single soda is labeled in a specific category that goes along with their specific flavor profile. You have your dark colas, your lemon limes, your cherries, your specific cherries, and your spicy cherries, which is where Dr. Pepper resides. So, being that I have my preferred spicy cherry soda, let's see if any of these recipes can sway me from being a Pib Extra guy to more of a Dr. Pepper stan. Okay, so this video is about all the different ways that you can consume Dr. Pepper. Notice I said consume, not necessarily drink. So to start off, we're going to look at the more unorthodox methods of consuming Dr. Pepper. And the first on our list is beans. Big Flavor by the Serious Bean Company. No heat, super sweet. I gotta be honest with you, when I think Dr. Pepper, the first thing isn't necessarily beans. But I can't be the only one that's looking at this and is thinking, it kind of makes sense. But I can't explain why. In a weird way, in like some kind of backyard barbecue kind of thing, it kind of makes sense. But I'm still skeptical about it. But we're here to figure out what the perfect way to consume Dr. Pepper is. Is it in a can? Or is it on beans? All right, so let's just go ahead and dive into it. I got a spoon right here, and just crack open the top here and see what happens. Oh yeah. I saw this on the shelf last time I was at the store, and I had to kind of do a double take because I thought I saw the Dr. Pepper logo, and I was like, no, there's no way. It was there, yeah. So, and here we are. So, bon appetit. Yeah. You know, I'm all about survival stuff and like eating out of the can, but I'm thinking these might be better warmed up. I'm gonna do that. Okay, now we have warmed up Dr. Pepper beans. Now I'd imagine this would probably be a little bit better than just eating them raw straight out of the can. But you know, you gotta test the utility of some things, you know? Like personally, I'd eat ravioli out of a can, just straight up. But it doesn't mean that's the proper way to consume things. So, bottoms up, properly cooked Dr. Pepper beans. It's not good. I mean, I've come around and I've started becoming more of a beans guy to have as like a nice side at a barbecue. But I don't know if I'd want these beans to be my side. And honestly, I can't even tell that there's any Dr. Pepper in here. I don't know if they used some of the same ingredients that they used to make Dr. Pepper and just threw it in the beans and said Dr. Pepper beans. But yeah, I don't know about this one. It's not the best, but I would eat it. And I think I've kind of proved that. I would eat it. So, okay. How this is gonna go is we're gonna try these recipes, try these different methods of consuming Dr. Pepper. I'm gonna give it a rating out of 10. Dr. Pepper beans are gonna get a 5 out of 10. They're not the best, but I would eat them. And I think that gives some credit. So, on to the next product. So I figured as we continue going, I'd get myself a palate cleanser, a little bit of water to kind of just wash the taste out of my mouth. Don't want to be overly biased. I mean, I know I'm essentially trying the same thing over and over again, but you gotta start fresh every time, you know? All right, so continuing with our unorthodox methods of consuming Dr. Pepper, we're in a more, we're gonna round things out on this unorthodox phase with a little dessert. And starting off, we have Peeps. I really have nothing to say about this. I don't like Peeps. When I have a marshmallow, I prefer it to be the nice, soft, white, fluffy clouds that they are. I do not like the glittery, textured little chickens that they package up during Easter time and try to pass off as marshmallows. They're just not good. They're really not good. So I saw these at the store, and I figured, why not? You know, you can literally put anything in anything anymore these days, and someone's gonna buy it. I bought it, so like, you know, there's a market there. But I was more into the idea of making fun of it because I figured these are gonna taste bad. And I've had these since Easter because they only do Peeps around Easter time, so they're probably a little stale. But we will press forward. All right. Open up the package here. And it's pretty simple. You just tear them off and you got your Peep. Dr. Pepper Peep. I just hope it at least tastes like Dr. Pepper. The beans didn't really have like the Dr. Pepper flavor in it. I think they were kind of going more for a savory route, and this is inherently sweet because it's just a lump of sugar. So I'm hoping I can at least taste the flavoring and at least get that Dr. Pepper vibe out of it. So down the hatch, Dr. Pepper Peep. Oh. Note to self, when you go to talk, don't breathe in. I choked on the Peep glitter. That is not boding well for their ranking here. So, what do you even say? Like, how should I even? So they're not. Again, they're not the best. It was an attempt, for sure. I can taste the Dr. Pepper. I will give them credit for that. I can taste the Dr. Pepper in this. But other than that, it's a Peep. They're not good. Like, I about choked on just breathing in because of the glitter that's on these things. Or whatever, a sugary sprinkling, whatever's on these things. They're not good. And it doesn't really add anything to it either. In fact, I feel bad because they look like little chickens and I'm eating little chickens. You know, at least if I'm eating a chicken nugget, I don't have to think about that it's a chicken. You know what I mean? They weren't as stale as I was imagining, at least, so I'll give them credit for that. They got pretty decent shelf life, so, I mean, it's been what, like a couple months, probably? I don't know. So, Dr. Pepper Peeps. I don't like Peeps. The Dr. Pepper little seasoning on it, flavoring, seasonings for the savory stuff. The little flavoring on there was okay. It was very light, very light. The overall experience just wasn't enjoyable. About died, so there's that too. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy these again. The beans, maybe if I'm having a barbecue and I'm throwing something together. The Peeps, no way. All right, little palate cleanser here. And on to the next one. I'm actually very excited about this next one. My wife helped me do it. So this final entry into the unorthodox method of consuming Dr. Pepper is another dessert one. And I think it was an attempt to take a stab at the 7-Up pound cakes. You know those cakes that you mix the 7-Up soda in the cake and it adds like a little nice flavoring to it. You like barely need icing on it because it's got just so much impactful flavor on it. This recipe used Dr. Pepper to make brownies. Honestly, mentally, to me, it works in a weird way because, you know, when you're baking, typically you're not thinking about putting soda into it. Like the 7-Up pound cake, it's called a 7-Up pound cake, isn't it? That's what I'm gonna refer to it as. That makes sense. And I'm assuming that's because someone accidentally dumped 7-Up in their pound cake recipe as they were baking it. That's the only way I can think of someone deciding to put those two things together. But when you're telling me you have the brownie mix, there's some Dr. Pepper in there. I'm not a baker, but it kind of makes sense to me. It looked natural in the cooking process, the baking process. So we're gonna cut to some footage of my amazing wife putting this together for me. And it just looks, wow. All right, so basically your standard run-of-the-mill brownie recipe, throwing everything together, put it in the pan, throw it in the oven, and just add a splash of Dr. Pepper to it. So here we are, Dr. Pepper brownies. I have been looking forward to trying these, so I really hope they're good. I mean, I'd imagine it's just maybe just a hint of Dr. Pepper in it, but let's find out. Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is another one of those things where I know the Dr. Pepper's in it. I watched her put it in there. I can't taste the Dr. Pepper in it, but I don't think I want to. That's the thing. This is a delightful brownie. It's soft, it's got a little texture on the top of it just to kind of give it that false crunch. The edges of them are nice and crispy. It's just nice and chewy. It's got a delightful texture. The flavor is just, So I'm assuming the reason for the Dr. Pepper in there isn't to put the flavor in there. It's to make a specific consistency that just makes it taste really good. Am I making any sense? So I'm assuming this recipe was less about the flavor of Dr. Pepper and more that the properties of the soda getting put into it enhance the end result of like how chewy it is, what the texture is gonna be like, and just maybe even the moistness of the brownie too. Dr. Pepper brownies, 10 out of 10. But I think I'm biased because I love my wife's cooking and these are awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the actual drinks. So these are different recipes using Dr. Pepper to form these kind of, I don't wanna use the word mocktail, but essentially a mocktail. So we're gonna see if these recipes could form the ultimate way to consume Dr. Pepper before we try out that Reddit comment's claimed method of consuming Dr. Pepper in the perfect way. So we'll find out. So I'm gonna read off the recipe and then I'm gonna lay out the ingredients, then we're gonna mix it and we're gonna try it. So the first recipe that we got is called the Dr. Pepper Oh Yeah, with an exclamation point. The Dr. Pepper Oat Yeah. Why not? So the ingredients for the Dr. Pepper Oat Yeah is 6 ounces of Dr. Pepper, 2 ounces of oat milk, a shot of espresso, and an ounce of vanilla extract. I feel like this is something you can order out of Starbucks, honestly. Probably minus the Dr. Pepper part. This is gonna be interesting. Let's get the ingredients. Okay, so here's where it gets a little bit interesting. I couldn't necessarily find the exact ingredients for some of these while I was out shopping. So we have some substitutes that I think will do just as fine. So of course, we have our 6 ounces of Dr. Pepper, which is roughly half a can of Dr. Pepper. As a substitute for our oat milk, we have oat plant-based beverage, unsweetened. And we'll do 2 ounces of this. And for our shot of espresso, I found a little Starbucks espresso and cream can beverage thing, I guess. I don't know, I've never had one of these. So it's got espresso in it. So surely if we measure out a shot, that'll work just as fine. Okay, but I did get the vanilla extract. We had this on hand actually. So, you know, I do follow the recipe sometimes. This is probably why my wife doesn't let me cook, huh? Okay, so since I don't have an accurate, man, we're just really guessing at this point. So since I don't have an accurate ounces measurement, I do, probably, but I don't really want to do math. So to accurately measure out our ounces, we are going to use an American Standard shot glass, which is roughly 1.5 ounces. So we're gonna use this to measure out all of our, we're gonna use this to measure everything out. Okay, so we're gonna measure out everything and dump it into this, what is this called? Oh, I know what this is called. What is it called? A shaker. We're just gonna call it a shaker for lack of a better term. If I will think of it later, and I'm gonna be so irritated that I didn't think of it now. So we're gonna mix everything up into this, put the lid on, give it a little shake, and I need to grab a cup to put it in afterwards. I'm gonna do that. Okay, so we have our cup, we have our ingredient list, and our ingredients. So let's get a little organized here, and hopefully not make a big mess. Okay, so 6 ounces of Dr. Pepper, roughly half a can. So get that going in there. So I can't see the inside, but I think that's roughly half a can. Maybe I'll do a little bit more. Okay. This is all kind of subject to personal preference, I'm sure. But since I've never had this before, I really don't know how to judge different amounts of what I would prefer in it versus the other. Doesn't matter. Okay, so next is 1 shot of espresso. So I'm gonna fill this, probably not all the way to the top. And this will be our shot of espresso. There we go. Don't even. Ooh. Oh, that is just straight. They say espresso and cream, but there's like no cream in that. Ooh. That'll wake you up. All right. Espresso shot into the mixture. Nice. Okay. 2 ounces then of our substitute oat milk. I don't even know what plant-based, like what is this even supposed to be? I can't even smell it. I have no idea. All right, 2 ounces of our plant-based oat beverage. Please don't. Oh, oh no. Oh. Okay, and that's close enough to 2 shots. That is too much of a mess there. All right, we're gonna dump that. I'm gonna grab a little towel and clean that up. Okay, so we got our substitute oat milk in there. That was a little bit of a hassle. So next is a, what was it? A full ounce of vanilla extract. That just seems like a lot of vanilla extract. But we will see what we can do. I might not put a whole ounce in there. That's just a lot. So we have probably maybe a quarter of an ounce. I'd even call this less than that. That's probably about 1.5 tablespoons or teaspoons maybe. I'm not even sure. That's a lot of vanilla extract. And honestly, I know how strong vanilla extract is, so I'm not wanting to like destroy this beverage essentially. But we'll see how this goes. So, recipe wasn't followed to the exact measure, but it's close enough, and it uses the same ingredients, so surely there's merit in that. All right, put a cap on that bad boy and give it a little shake. Oh, and it's spilling out of the container. All right, you know what? I gave it a good little whip. Let's pull it out and put it in our glass, and then I'm going to wipe down the table once again. All right, so got our mixture into the glass. Doesn't look like something you'd order from Starbucks or some kind of family-friendly mom and pop coffee shop. All right, got that mess all settled. So Dr. Pepper oat, yeah. Curious is a word I would use. Let's give it a little sniff before we get to drinking it. Whoa. The smells that are the most overpowering are the Dr. Pepper itself, which I'm honestly surprised is still fighting in there, and the espresso from the Starbucks can. So this is gonna be an interesting flavor. I already know. Cheers. I can't describe necessarily what that tastes like. The best way I can put it into words is if you took Dr. Pepper and you took coffee and you just put them together. Essentially, that's what that is. Like, it just tastes like someone accidentally spilled a drop of Dr. Pepper in your coffee. But it's not good. It's not a good combination at all. Yeah, no, that is foul, actually. I don't remember my ratings for the others, but this is a 2 out of 10. A hard 2 out of 10. Definitely gonna need a palate cleanser after that one. Whoa. So the next method of consuming Dr. Pepper we have on the list is courtesy of Coffee Mate, which, considering the last beverage, is kind of scary, but I think this one might actually be good. So I found this on the shelves at the store also while I was finding other ingredients, and I've never seen this before. It's called the Dirty Soda, and it's specifically supposed to be mixed with Dr. Pepper. It's coconut and lime, and that's it. So I think this has potential to be good, but I'm still skeptical. But it could be a really good way to consume Dr. Pepper. I'm willing to give it a try. That's the whole premise of the video, really, is that I'm giving it a try, so you don't have to. So I think as far as the recipe goes, it's like adding creamer to coffee. You just put the Dr. Pepper in a glass, and you add this in, and see how it goes. So I got a fresh glass here, since that last glass was definitely coated in coffee espresso and oat garbage. So we're gonna go ahead and use the last of the Dr. Pepper that was in this can from that and just put it in here. Well, that's not a whole lot, but that's fine, that's fine. We don't wanna use a whole lot of this stuff. And if it's good, I might wanna save it for later. So I'll pop it open and pour. Oh. Smells like a lotion. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna say straight up, it smells like a lotion that I've smelled before. But I think, don't most lotions have like coconut in it to some degree or something like that? Or there's coconut smelling lotions, maybe that's the kind of lotion that I've smelled before. But it straight up smells like that. It smells nice, it smells pleasant. So let's dump it in here and see what happens. That's probably enough. So we have a dirty soda. Easy as that. Bottoms up. Ooh. Mmm. That's quite nice. The coconut kind of gives it a kind of creamy taste to it almost, which is really good. And the lime like adds a little spunk to the Dr. Pepper flavor. It just adds a little like kick to it. It's not a necessary kick, but it's there. And like you take the drink and that just hits you right at the end, and it's like very pleasant, very refreshing. But this is nice. This is very nice. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Dr. Pepper Dirty Soda, 8 out of 10. A great way to consume Dr. Pepper, I think. Okay, so our next recipe is called the Dr. Pepper Mudslide. And to make the Dr. Pepper Mudslide, you need a full 12 ounces of a can of Dr. Pepper. You need 3 tablespoons of coconut syrup and 3 tablespoons of coffee syrup. 3 tablespoons of coffee creamer. I'm scared, but maybe we can make it decent. So I don't want to go too nuts on this recipe in case it's bad, because then that's just a waste of Dr. Pepper. So we're gonna have it. So we're gonna do 6 ounces and then 1.5 tablespoons of each coffee creamer and coconut syrup. Now, I could not find coconut syrup. So I figured our old dirty soda probably isn't that bad of a replacer, you know? So I'm thinking this might work just as well. It'll be a Dr. Pepper mudslide with a slight lime kick. I'm adding my own little pizzazz in here. So it's gonna be a Dr. Pepper mudslide with lime. And I think it's gonna be really good. Okay, so we're gonna attempt to use the shaker, but I'm not going to shake it like I did before. We're going to be very gentle. I'm going to give it a nice little whisk, and we'll see if that works just as well. 6 ounces of Dr. Pepper, about half a can, 1.5 tablespoons of our coconut lime mixture. There's 1, and there's 2. Nice. And now for our coffee creamer, we have this Splenda coffee creamer sweet cream. So I don't know if sweet cream classifies as like your standard coffee creamer, but I figured it would work. So we're gonna give it a try. And 1 tablespoon. Ooh, splashback. And half a tablespoon. All right, then we're going to put the lid on and give it a slight whisk. I prefer my Dr. Pepper beverages stirred and not shaken. Thank you. And now for the pour. Honestly, looking pretty similar, if not the exact same, as our dirty soda. I think the dirty soda counterpart's gonna pretty much dominate this one, but I'm feeling like the coffee creamer is gonna add a little something. So, Dr. Pepper mudslide with a twist, going down. It's not bad. It's really not bad, but it doesn't necessarily strike me as much as the straight up Dr. Pepper dirty soda did. I'll finish it because I think it tastes decent, but I'm not gonna rate it as high as the Dr. Pepper dirty soda, I don't think. 6 out of 10. It's not as good as the Dr. Pepper Dirty Soda. A little palate cleanser after that. This next one, I'm really excited for. All right, and for our final recipe and method to consume Dr. Pepper before we get to the supposed perfect way of consuming Dr. Pepper as by our Reddit commenter, we have the classic, but the simple Dr. Pepper float. So the ingredients for this is about as simple as it can get. Dr. Pepper, vanilla ice cream, big cup. Pretty simple. So the cool part about this is I already know this is gonna be good, because while you can't recapture the magic that is a root beer float, which is root beer and ice cream, of course, Anytime you mix a soda with ice cream, you get a delightful combination. Now, it's not gonna be as good as root beer float, but it's still a nice little mixture. All right, let's give this a little stir in here, get our vanilla ice cream mixed in here, get those bubbles bubbling. So for our final recipe and method of consuming Dr. Pepper before our grand finale, the Dr. Pepper float. Cheers. I just got straight Dr. Pepper in that. Yep, nope, that is good. That is good. Is it as good as a root beer float? No, but we're not really comparing for that. We're just trying to see what the best way to consume Dr. Pepper is. So I can't let that bias cloud my thoughts here. So as far as this beverage goes, as a ranking for is it the best way to consume Dr. Pepper, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It's good, but we've tried some other recipes that are better. Namely just that dirty soda Dr. Pepper. I really can't get over that. That was actually really good. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the claimed best and most perfect way to consume Dr. Pepper via a Reddit comment. Reddit commenter BillyBob704 claims, "This is the absolute best way to drink Dr. Pepper." The comment reads, "This is gonna sound crazy and very particular, but I swear it's the greatest drinking experience of all time. So you start by taking a can of Dr. Pepper and putting it in the fridge. I usually leave it in overnight and it's nice and cold by the next day. After your Dr. Pepper gets nice and cold, get a cup, preferably a glass, and put some ice cubes in it. But wait, there's more. With your glass of ice cubes, you cannot put the entire can's contents in the glass at once. You must refill as you drink, because if you don't, it will get watered down. I usually start with about half the can, drink that, then refill the glass with the remaining half of the can. I know it sounds crazy, but it took me years of experimenting to get the perfect Dr. Pepper drinking experience. If you follow these steps, your Dr. Pepper will be more refreshing and delicious than ever. If you try it, you'll see exactly what I mean. Dr. Pepper is already so good, but if you do it like this, it will legit change your life. I swear. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk." So, BillyBob704, let's try it. So, for Billy Bob's recipe, we have a chilled can of Dr. Pepper and, straight from my freezer, a nice chilled glass with a nice little ice wedge inside. So let's see if this is the perfected Dr. Pepper drinking experience that he claims it to be. So Billy Bob says not to pour in the whole can, which is why I selected this exact kind of glass. I think only half the can will fit anyway. So, for the pour. All right, now for the claimed perfect way of consuming Dr. Pepper. Billy Bob 704, this is for you, buddy. Cheers. Billy Bob, man, I gotta hand it to you. That was an experience. It's just so crisp, so cold. You can feel it running down your throat and bubbling as it goes down. Wow, what a rush. It's just so nice. It's just so refreshing. It's like the perfect experience for Dr. Pepper. The best way, maybe even, to consume it. This one's for you, Billy Bob. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Well, that's gonna end it for this video. What do you guys think? Was this the most perfect way to consume and experience Dr. Pepper? Post it down in the comments. And while you're down there, leave a like. And I'll see you guys in the next one.